Bitcoin and the hard fork that's coming up, but let me first preface that I am not an expert in all things Bitcoin. There's a lot of knowledge that I don't even come close to understanding, and yet, as an amateur investor, I just got back from the Wealth Expo in Los Angeles, and I was able to hear a really amazing speaker at an exclusive conference on Bitcoin who talked about the hard fork that's coming up. This guy's from a Silicon Valley investment firm. They have lots of venture capital that they are dumping into the Bitcoin industry and market right now. And so they have a very vested interest in the future of Bitcoin and blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. And so some of the stuff that he told us is what I want to share with you today. But not only that, that actually just whetted my appetite to get me looking into more of what the possibilities were, what the potential outcomes are with this hard fork coming up in November. And as I really delved into some of the things that I heard at the conference, I was able to uncover some other potential warning signs and amazing opportunities that could be coming up with this new fork. And so I want to enlighten you and encourage you and maybe just give you some insights that are, a little bit more exclusive that you're not going to hear everywhere before this happens. And I don't have all the details. All I can do is tell you the stuff that I heard, that I uncovered, and hopefully you can take that and run with it and do your own research and come away with your own conclusions to see how best you should invest, how you can take advantage of this opportunity, and how you might safeguard yourself against some potential outcomes with it. So without further ado, at the Bitcoin conference at the Wealth Expo Los Angeles, I heard about this hard fork that's coming up, and we all have kind of heard about it. So we have Bitcoin Cash on the market currently from the last fork that happened. And typically if you had Bitcoin in a wallet online, you would have had that matched by Bitcoin Cash. So the fork happened, you didn't lose anything, you didn't lose Bitcoin, you actually got Bitcoin Cash in the same quantity that you held Bitcoin in when the fork happened. So as a result, your investments actually went up because Bitcoin continued to rise. It wasn't affected by the split at all. And as that price went up, so you maintained the same amount of Bitcoin, but then you got Bitcoin Cash as well, which came out at a certain price, and that has increased in value. So you actually walked away with a pretty decent gain and investment there. Now, that was a certain kind of fork, and I don't understand all the details with it, but the cool thing is that Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Traditional or Bitcoin Classic that exists right now can coincide. They can exist together without one really affecting the other one too much, either positive or negative. But with this new fork that's coming up, it's going to be very different. So they have to create a different kind of software to continue to run Bitcoin on. And there's a division within Bitcoin that's, infighting, saying we want to stay with the SegWit 1 platform, and then other people are saying we need to develop a SegWit 2 platform. And so what's going to happen is there will be Bitcoin staying on the SegWit 1, and then Bitcoin Gold will come out on SegWit 2. Which is basically just a software to run Bitcoin on, because Bitcoin is running out of storage space or processing space, however you want to say that. And so something had to be done about it. And certain camps want to maintain Bitcoin as it is, and certain camps wanted to change Bitcoin to be a different kind of system than what it currently is, to unveil other capabilities with it. But one thing with this fork is that both technologies or both softwares more than likely cannot exist at the same time. So right now we have Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and they can exist just fine together in the space, but with this new SegWit 1 and SegWit 2X, they cannot exist together is what we heard. And so what's going to happen is this fork will happen, and again, if you have Bitcoin in a particular wallet online, more than likely they're going to match your Bitcoin with Bitcoin Gold. So it's not like you're losing your Bitcoin or you're not gaining Bitcoin Gold. You'll be matched, right? So if you have 2 Bitcoin, you'll have 2 Bitcoin Gold as well. But it won't be the same as with Bitcoin Cash, because what will probably happen is these software will fight with each other, and one is going to win out, and so one price will plummet while another one goes up or maintains the same as what Bitcoin currently is. We have yet to see what exactly will happen with that. but it's a very interesting concept. And so the warning is, be aware that one of these softwares will win. Now, which one is it? Is it going to be the traditional SegWit 1 that stays, or the new SegWit 2X that actually wins out? Well, what we heard is that 80% of the Bitcoin miners out there actually favor the new SegWit 2X. And so the thought from the guy that we heard was that Bitcoin 2X will probably win out over Bitcoin 1. And so Bitcoin Gold will become the actual Bitcoin from this point forward, moving forward, while the other software will die out, will get eaten up, and the price will fall off and it will not be worth anything. So it has to transition over to the new Bitcoin software and platform. So that's very interesting to think about. Now, this shouldn't affect you really, because you're going to get an equal amount of both Bitcoins. You'll have what you've currently invested, and you'll get that matched in Bitcoin Gold, right? So not a big deal. One falls off, you still have the other one. You didn't lose anything. But the warning there is, maybe don't invest in either one of those while the fork is happening. Most platforms shut down trading and exchanging, so you can't. But until you see what the price is going to do and which software is going to win out, you don't want to dump money into the software that's going to die. And so there's a bit of a warning there, just to wait and watch and see what's happening with this. Just because the miners favor the new software and are preferring to work on that, I mean, that's a pretty sure guarantee that that will be the one that survives. But as I started doing more research into this, there are a lot of big players that are actually talking about dumping the new software and sticking with the Bitcoin SegWit 1X, and maintaining their work on that. And so we don't know how this is going to go, because there's some very major players that are going to put their money into that to try and maintain it. And so it could go either way. There could be pumps and dumps, and you just want to watch this. So that is kind of the overall basis of what's going on. But now the opportunity and the warning is this. There is a pretty specific warning going out in a lot of the Bitcoin circles that Bitcoin Cash is actually the real Bitcoin as it was originally intended, and Bitcoin Classic or traditional as it exists now is ruining the vision of Bitcoin. It's actually not what it's supposed to be at all. But Bitcoin Cash is way closer to that original vision. And so because Bitcoin is priced at $7,000 a coin right now, what people are thinking is that when the fork happens, there's going to be all this turmoil, all this kind of confusion and chaos surrounding Bitcoin. And Bitcoin Cash is actually at about $600 right now. So it's way cheaper than Bitcoin traditional or classic. And what people think is going to happen is these big whales are going to shift all of their wealth into Bitcoin Cash, because they believe that that is the real future and the real foundation of Bitcoin as it is supposed to be. And so they think that they're going to just dump all of their Bitcoins at 7,000 or whatever the price stays at, as well as the new Bitcoin Gold, just get rid of it as quick as possible and put all of their funds into Bitcoin Cash, and watch Bitcoin Cash then rise to the same level or higher than what Bitcoin is at right now, while Bitcoin and Bitcoin Gold just plummet because they've dumped all of their resources. They have sold it all, and we'll just see this huge shift of wealth from Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash. The reason they say that is because there's very hardcore circles that believe that Bitcoin Cash is the original vision, and that's what they want to ensure survives. Now, there's been mention that John McAfee has talked about Bitcoin Cash being the only ability to survive with Bitcoin. And so we also see that he is mining a lot of Bitcoin Cash, which right now it actually produces a loss of something like $50,000 per coin mined. So why would people be dumping this money and losing profit mining Bitcoin Cash when it's not worth anything and it doesn't actually produce a profit to mine that, if they didn't believe that that was going to be the future of Bitcoin? And so not only John McAfee, but other giant players as well are putting all of this effort and attention into mining and extracting Bitcoin Cash and building up giant reserves of that because they believe that that will be the future Bitcoin. And once the shift happens, they'll dump all of their current Bitcoin, go over to Bitcoin Cash. They'll also have these giant reserves of it, and then that will just jump to the top. And so how does this affect you as a traditional Bitcoin investor, as someone who's just getting started in it? Well, the same way it affects me, I currently don't own Bitcoin Cash at all right now. And so this idea that more than likely it won't happen that way from what I've heard, but it is still a giant possibility that it could. And so if nothing happens with Bitcoin Cash and that just is allowed to do its own thing like it is doing right now, then no harm, no foul. I have Bitcoin, and that will be transferred over to Bitcoin Gold as well. And then whichever one wins out, I'm not out anything. I'll continue to keep the same investment. But if Bitcoin and Bitcoin Gold are dumped and the price drops and Bitcoin Cash is the one that skyrockets, I don't currently own Bitcoin Cash. I actually invested in Bitcoin after that original initial fork. And so other people I know invested beforehand, and they have matched Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and so they have nothing to worry about because they actually own equal amounts. And so when the new fork happens, they'll own equal amounts of all three. Not a big deal. Whatever happens, they have the same amount invested. But to me and to other guys and to you out there who just own Bitcoin right now and don't have Bitcoin Cash, if Bitcoin is dumped and the wealth is transferred over into Bitcoin Cash to make that the main currency, I own 0 Bitcoin Cash, and so the investments I've made into Bitcoin could totally fall off the map. I could be left with hardly anything, and Bitcoin Cash could then skyrocket to the price of Bitcoin at the moment, and then you're trying to get in at $7,000 or whatever it ends up being, which would make it incredibly hard to do. Now, all's not lost. It just means that I would have to start over on my investments, which I am not interested in doing, and I bet that you are not as well. So I don't know these things. This is just what I've heard. It's what I've uncovered as I went and listened to talks and kind of like picked apart who's saying what, where's it coming from, what sources are saying these things, what legitimacy is given to them. And it seems like there's some pretty big players out there that truly believe that Bitcoin Cash is the future of Bitcoin. And so they're not only buying Bitcoin, but they're also, or Bitcoin Cash, but they're also dumping some of their Bitcoin to do that. And so it just makes me a little aware, and it should make you aware as well. And so I just want to do this quick live stream to show you that that's a possibility, and then empower you to go out and do your own research. Go listen to some of these guys that are talking on it. Go read a few things and see what the potential is for this happening, and just be aware of it. So I, for one, will hedge against that, and I'll actually, before this fork happens, I need to go invest some money into Bitcoin Cash just to make sure that if this happens, I have some equity in the new Bitcoin Cash as well, and that I don't just get left in the dirt with it. I think there's a great possibility here. If this doesn't happen that way, then all's well. I have an investment in another cryptocurrency, and not a big deal to me. It's still a gamble, it's still a risk, but I want to invest in a lot of different altcoins as it is, and so I have no trouble putting some money into Bitcoin Cash and owning a little bit of that and seeing where the future of Bitcoin lies. So I know it's not incredibly specific for you, but I hope that it informs you in some way that empowers you to go do some research into this as well. This could be a really big deal, seeing this Bitcoin fork happen, and we don't know what's going to happen with it. So it really brings with it great possibilities and great warnings as well, and I just think that we should all be aware of the different potential outcomes with this, how we can be safe against them, how we can kind of prepare for it, and hopefully we don't get left in the dark. So I really just hope that that inspires you and helps you and encourages you in some way to take action, to get informed, which is the most important thing that you can do, and then figure out what you want to do as far as investing. Now, one other word, if you're not invested in Bitcoin yet and you want to be, now's a good time to do it in some sense, because you will get matched Bitcoin and Bitcoin Gold. It also may be a risky time to do it, because if Bitcoin drops and Bitcoin Gold drops, then you're left with nothing compared to what you put into it. Experts are on all sides of the coin. We don't really know, but I'm going to do some more research. I'm definitely going to hedge myself and buy a little bit of Bitcoin Gold just in case, or Bitcoin Cash just in case. And I recommend that you really just inform yourself and make good informed decisions around this. So God bless you guys. I'm Makai Block with Limitless North. I just wanted to share with you some of the information I took away from Wealth Expo. was a great conference. I love going to that stuff. I got to see Tony Robbins speak for the first time, and just blew my mind. What an incredible, amazing human being that has devoted himself to betterment and to helping others change. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a great week, and God bless you. Catch you on the next one.